Hello, welcome class. Welcome to the accounting principle, introduction to accounting class. We are using a 9th edition accounting principle by John Wiley. Today we're going to discuss appendix, which is the present value concept, which is widely used in our classes. So, okay, there's about quite a number of learning objectives. The first one, we have calculate simple compound interest. And then calculate the present value of a single amount, calculate the single value of an annuity, calculate the present value of a bond, apply the present value concept to note payables, and to calculate the period payments as well as the interest payment and number of periods. And number 6, to estimate the value of an asset using future cash flow. All right, let's start at the B. Let's dive in. Learning objective number 1, which is calculate simple compound interest. Look at the definition first. The interest and calculating present value. The amount of interest involved in any financing transaction is based on the three elements. The first one is called the principal, which is the original amount borrowed or invested. Number 2 is the interest rate, which is the annual percentage of the principal. Number 3 is the time, which is the number of periods that the principal is borrowed or invested. What is simple interest? Simple interest is calculated on the principal amount only. When interest equal to principal times interest rate times time, okay? P times R times T. One principal is the original amount of borrowed or invested, which is the P, represented by P here. Interest rate, which is I, annual percentage of the principal, which is here. And the number of periods of T, the number of periods that is borrowed, which is using time here. Okay? That's a simple interest. Let's look at the division of compound interest. Compound interest is the return on growth of the principal for the two or more time periods. Compounding calculates interest not only in the principal but also interest earned to date on that principal. So you have here, this is a typical simple interest. You got 90 here, and second year will be 90. On the right side here, you have interest on interest, okay? So in second year, you get 98.10 here. This is the differences, okay? This is simple interest on the left side. There's no interest on interest, but if you compounded interest, there will be different calculations. So there's a difference here with of $25.03. This is compound interest. And then look at the learning objective number 2, which is the calculate the present value of a single amount. The present value variable is a calculation that are based on the three variables, which is the dollar amount to be received for the future amount of future value, and the length of time until the amount is received, number of periods, which is N, and the interest rate, the discount rate using per period. Right? The format to use to calculate present value is number 1. We are using a formula, using a present value table, using a financial calculator, and use a computer spreadsheet functions. I prefer to use financial calculator, which is easier. In the 90s, in the 80s, not in the 80s, there's no financial calculator, so we use the tables. But now we have also, you can use the spreadsheet in Excel or any open source spreadsheet like Google Sheet and others. The present value formula, if you want to invest the amount today, that will be yield about 1,000 at the end of 1 year. Given interest of 5%, what would you need to invest? So present value equal to future value divided by 1 in bracket 1 plus I close bracket, and so applying formula, just plug in the number, then you get the 952.38. This is the present value formula. Excuse me. And then the present value single future amount formula. Assume that you want to invest the amount today that will give you 1,000 at the end of the year, given interest rate of 5%. That would need to invest. What amount you need to invest? Looking at table P1 for your next tax, find the intersection of 5% and 1. So you multiply 1,000 times 0.95. This is using a table. So you see the same thing, okay? And then, if you are using a financial calculator, you're going to calculate based on the logic here. You're going to enter the values I, 5 equal to EY, 2 is equal to N, 0 is to PMT, 1,000 future value, and then compute present value, you got this number. Okay, this is using a financial calculator. This is which I prefer the most. Why? Because it's a simple way of doing things and it's faster to get things done. But when the old days, in 30 years ago, I used the table. because we don't have the luxury of a financial calculator. Okay. And then if you are using a spreadsheet like say Excel or Google Sheet or other open source sheet, then you can use the same thing. You're gonna put in this number and the result will be the same thing. Okay, 9.907.03. You got that number. Okay. In the financial calculator or Excel calculator, you're gonna do the same thing. Excel variable, present value represent PV. Interest rate, you're gonna put Excel variable rate or EY. Number of period called NPER or N. Annuity payment amount called PMT. All PMT is here in the financial calculator. And then feature value is feature value and feature value there. Okay, it's the same thing. Then learning objective number 3, calculate the present value of an annuity. How are you going to do that? Let's look at the present value of statement of future cash flow. It is a series of periodic concept or payment that are called on annuity. To calculate the present value of annuity, you need the following: discount rate, the number of receipt of payment, and the amount of receipt for payment, PMT. Okay, and then calculate the present value of annuity using a formula. Present value equal to PMT, close bracket 1 minus close bracket 1 plus I minus N divided by 1, close bracket. Example. So you're going to plug in this number. Usually you have this formula, you got to plug in the number, you got this number, 2775.09. You can plug in this. Okay. Once you do that, you get that number. Okay, this is the first formula. Okay, PMT. Okay. Then look at the second slide. Calculating the present value annuity using present value table. When you do execution table, you're going to look at the PV2, intersection of 3 periods. So example is the same thing. Present value receive 1,000 each year for the next 3 years with a discount at 4%. So you're going to look at the intersection of period of 3 and interest rate of 4%. You're going to multiply 1,000 by 2.77509 in that table. Then you get the 2775.09. That's how you calculate the present value using a using a present value table. Okay. Then when you're looking at financial calculator, this is one of my favorite actually. So you just plug in this number for EY 3N 1000 PMT 0 future value compute PV, then you get this number. So the fastest way for me, what I think is using the financial calculator is the best way to do so. Okay. And then calculate the present value of annuity using spreadsheet is doing the same thing. You're going to plug in all this number and the result will be 2775. Whatever it is you do, it's going to be showing up the same numbers. Okay. But again, I mentioned this to you many times. I prefer using business consultant, Texas 2 instrument, or any using shop. Whatever it is, the tools, the best way and the fastest way is using calculator. It's helped you. Okay. And when I was a student 30 years ago, I mentioned this many times in my video that we don't have a financial calculator. There's no such a luxury. Okay. Also, if you have a smartphone, the smartphone also have call it the financial calculator, BA2 Calc. Okay. You can use this BA2 Calc. Okay. They have the same things free of charge. Okay. Also, they have a other calculator, the financial calculator that you can use in your calculations. Okay. But this is if you're using one on the phone, there's also an ad for it. But if you're using the one that is you pay with Texas 2 instrument, then it is there's no ad on it. Okay. Let's learning objective 4. Calculate the present value of a bond. Okay. This is the present value of a bond. In calculating the market price of present value of a bond, the present value of market price of one is a function of 3 variables. What are the 3 variables? The payment amount, which is principal and interest, the length of time until the amount is paid, and the market interest rate, which is also known as a discount rate. Now, cash flow of the contractual interest on a bond, the interest used to determine the annual of semi-interest payment and is fixed over a life of a bond. Okay, this contractual interest rate is applied to the principal to be received at maturity or face value to arrive at the annuity interest rate, which is PMT. PMT does not change during the term of the bond. In calculating the rest of the bond, investors use the interest rate to determine the present value of the bond. If the market rate interest is equal to the contract of the bond, it's sold at the face value. If market interest is higher than the contract of the bond, and the bond is sold at a discount. For example, your bond is 10%, the market at the real is 12%, then your bond will be at a discount. If market rate is less than contractual value, the bond is sold at premium. For example, your bond is at 10%, the market rate is about 5%, then your bond is sold at a premium because the bond value more. It has an inverse relationship between the market rate versus the bond. What do you mean by inverse rate? It's a reverse. Okay? When the interest high, the bond price go down. When the interest rate up, down, is when price go up. Calculating the market value of a bond using present value table using a sample calculation. Example here, the market rate is just 8% and the contractual is 6%. So that means the bond is going to be sold at premium, at a discount. Why? Because the market rate is higher than the contractual rate. The face value was 6%, so 1,000 times 6%, which is 6 times 12, which is 3,000. This is a 5-year period, then you calculate this number. Look at this, okay? Pay 6% of tax and 8% market. So it has to be at the discount. Why? Because the market rate is higher where the bond is at 6%. So the money will go after the higher rate. That's the key. Okay, you get 3,000, 10 periods here is 24.33 using, remember, this is using the table. So you got this 91,889. Now, if you're using financial calculator, you're going to do the same thing. You're going to put here 4 EY, 10N, minus 3,000 PMT, 100,000 minus 100,000 future value, and complete present value. You got 91,889.10. See, that's the key part. That's the beauty of this. It's faster. That's why I like about financial calculator. It's faster. Get you the result right away. Apply present value concept. Let's look at objective number 5. Apply present value concept of the payable to calculate payment, the interest rate, and the number of periods. Okay. Using the present value concept, we know payable. The present value concept are used to arrive at one three variables. What are the payment amounts? Fixed amount or fixed principal. The length of time until the amount are paid. Time of maturity, which is N. The interest rate, which is I. Note the future value is 0 because the note will have to be paid in full. And then payment and non-payment payable may be fixed at the payment plus the interest or blended principal plus interest payment. So in terms of the calculating note payable, fixed principal payment plus interest. In terms of this is calculating prepayment for note payable. Okay. Okay, coming back, make sure you understand this. This is same kind of things that you are using. This way are from here. The next three will be the same kind of calculation, explanation in note payable. The fixed payment plus interest, which is example 5-year note payable 25,000 payment, are equal to the payment plus interest at 8%. The annual payment is 5,000 per year, which is 25,000 over 5 years, equal plus interest outstanding balance. So now I'm going to look at this in detail. 5 years note, you're going to year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4, year 5. This is B plus C, which is P, which is the interest expense here. And then the reduction here. So you got 25,000 minus reduction of the principal, 5,000. You got 20,000 here. Okay. This is D times 8. This is how you get D. D minus C. Principal D minus C. This is fixed reductions. Okay. This is the fixed reduction of the balance. This is what you got the fixed reductions, okay? And then where's the B coming from, which is D here, times 8%. So you got this 8%, which is the A is B plus C, which is B plus C here, okay? So that's the number, then you got the, and it's 25,000. Now you can also use interest payment example here, balance principal interest payment, example 5-year note payable 25,000 are equal to principal interest rate and percent. The period payment is an annuity. The present value concept I use to calculate the amount of the annual payment from table PV2 factor, which is about 3.9. So this is using a table. So a table is like this. Okay, and the oldest I use have about 8 or 9 tables. So we are used to bring the whole folders when we go to class. So this is an example of the using the table. In terms of the pre-note 5-year payroll 25,000 interest payment, you're going to see here is the same concept. D minus C here, D minus C. This is the same reduction in principal. Then you get this number. The D is, which is the B column, which is based on D here, times 8%. So you got here. Why this is the cash payment. Okay, this is what it's supposed to be. Okay, this is the calculations. That's the N is 25,000. Okay, if you forget, you can always come back here. You get an idea 3.9. So to 60, okay? All right. So let's look at the one in the calculator. This is what I prefer the most. 8 is EY, N is 5, 25 present value, 0 future value, compute PMT. So you got this number 62 to 6.1. 62 to 6.1. Where you got this number? This is the one, okay? All right, 62 to 6. This is the one, yeah? So 62 to 6. You got here, and then you got here, coming back to the same thing, 62 to 6. That's objective number 5. Then objective number 6. Estimate the value of an asset using future cash flow. Is the calculation of the value of asset usually require two steps, which is estimate the future cash value and calculate the present value of this cash flow. So how are you going to go about GP estimate the equipment is an example of the last 5 years. You generate the following cash flow: year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4, year 5. From year 1 is 9,000, year 2 10,000, year 3 is 13,000, year 4 is 10,000, year 5 is 7,000. When you do that, you're going to calculate each one. You remember here's the year, future cash flow here, and then using the 8 factor of the present value interest factor, this is from the table. Okay, when you calculate this, you get this number, and add it up, you got this number 39,340. Okay, once you are using the calculator, you're going to use different way of calculator. Here's the way of doing it. 8 is EY, 10 is 10, 6,000 payment, 0 future rate, compute present value, which is 40,260. This is based on an example of purchase license that is earn 6,000 per year for the next 10 years. Okay, you got the 6,000 here. This is an example given to you. 6,000 is here, PMT, but you get the 10, and coming from is from here. 8% is coming from here. Okay, future rate is 0. So when you need to calculate present value, you got this 40,000. Okay, guys, let's basically conclude that chapter. So it is what it is, right? So you got the extra. Go over that step by step. It looks a little bit confusing, but at the end of the day, when you go over review, all the questions gonna be the same. All right. So again, this chapter, this PowerPoint slide is owned by copyright by John Wiley 2020. So I will post this my lecture in my YouTube video as well as in the Edpuzzle, so you can practice it for this class, for the introduction accounting class. Hopefully you enjoy it, and see you in the next class. Thank you. Bye bye.